Let's say you have a variable named x, which is, let us sample, and you have a data set y, which is the same as the data from that we created earlier, a equal to 1 comma b equal to a. Now using dump of class x comma y, I'm using two objects x comma y, and dumping into a file name. Let's say we are creating a file name, let's say data.r. You can keep it anything you want. Here I'm keeping it data.r. I'm creating a R file which will contain the C of x comma y. Two of the objects will be stored in dump. Now you will see that a file named dump.r is created, and when you open it through the notepad, you will find x is a sample and y, you'll find the structure for the data frame as well. Moving on, I press Ctrl L so that the screen gets cleared, and let's say if you use source of data.r, the file that we created now, you will find that and now if you display y, you'll get the same functions that we created, data sets that we created earlier. Moving on, so how can let's say you have taken your files which are saved in your local, and how can you take files which are available in the websites all over the world? So there are certain interfaces called connection interfaces. It's not specifically to the outside world. Let's say you have a database and you want to create a connection and extract the data from it. You can start doing that, and these are connection interface which helps you to connect with the database, and from that you can start extracting the data. These connections can be either to web servers or data servers. It depends on what you want to extract basically. So connections can be made to files. This is the most common, or other exotic things elsewhere. So file, it opens to a connection to a file. GZ file. GZ is a type of a compressed data file like your WinRAR or WinZip. It's opens to a connection, a file compressed with gzip, and BC the same as gz, and URL, you can specify whatever URL you want, and it opens to a connection to a web page. And even if you want, you can connect to any web page that is available, and you can read the data into it. Now moving on, file connections. Let's say you have a file which is here. You're seeing an example where you're trying to read a file. So str of file, the function, what basically the description is the name, and open blocking equal to, these are individual arguments for that function. So open, it will indicate whether what is the file actually. So R, which means read only, W specifies whether the writing permissions are not available or available in that, and A is appending, and RBWAB for reading, writing, or appending in binary mode, which is useful when you are coding Windows. And going on to connections. In general, like connections are powerful tools which will help you navigate files or any other external objects. You don't need to deal with this connection interface directly. So let's say you want to use a connection for the sample file that we created earlier. Ctrl L, which will delete the contents of the screen. Let's say I want to create a con, and this file will help me to connect with the file sample.txt, comma r. Now you have created a connection, which is R specifies only read only. So I'll show you what it does actually. Now you can create a data set data, and you can just use read.csv or anything else, which will just use the connection variable. The connection variable is actually connected to the file already existed, and forget about the warning. This is for that data, and you can I forgot to close the connection. I'll do it once more. Using the connection to read, and in that I close the connection. Now the connection is closed. This is the same as read.csv of sample text. Instead we have a connection file, and you can display the data here, and you'll find that A1, B2, C3, D4, E5, and A and 1 are treated as columns here. And moving on, how to read lines of a text file. I don't have a sample for this GZ file. So let's say you have a compressed file which is the format of GZ, and you can just read use the function read lines just to read simply the lines of the text file and store them in a character vector using a connection con. Can read use the gz file to read the let's say there is a file named words.gz, and you can just directly connect to that file and you can read it. This read lines will help you. The number of characters also you can specify. Here it is indicated as 10, so that only 10 of the variables or objects are read into it. So same as dput dget, we have a counterpart for read lines as well, which is called write lines, and it will takes a character vector and it writes each element one line at a time into a text file. Now moving on, so read lines also will be helpful to read lines from web pages. So there's a comment which indicates that it will take time. So let's say you want to read lines of a page from Wikipedia. This is the Wikipedia file, and you can use the source to find what kind of data it has. Here in the same way you can use clear the data, and you can create a connection which will connect to Wikipedia. Say connection equal to URL, which URL will help you read from files http en.wikipedia.org, comma r, just specifies it's read only. It will take time, but it will do it. So this is connected to the wikipedia.org, and now you can use x read lines, and read lines L is capital. Now using this head of x will give you this. You can go to Wikipedia page and you can search the source for the file, and it will give you this. So this is the total overall data for Wikipedia page, which is stored in HTML XML format, and you can clear it and you can just see head of X, which will give you the top 1 2 3 4 5 6 parameters inside the Wikipedia page. So this is the same example, and with this we'll finish about reading and writing data using multiple functions from table and from other data sets, from files, from URLs. This will be really helpful when you have external data sets and data sets within your local system which you want to do multiple analysis and you want to move the data into the R data sets.